Cancer is a continuously growing global health problem that poses major challenges, most especially in developing countries. Find out how this international distributor of innovative health products came up with a series of solutions to help increase a patient's chance to survive the odds. In 2020, the Philippines hit a record of 354,398 prevalent cancer cases within a 5-year period. But because of poor access to health care, especially for people living below the poverty line, the advances and breakthroughs in cancer remain unattainable to many.
Cancer refers to a group of diseases that's characterized actually by cell growth, abnormal cell growth and proliferation, inflammation, as well as angiogenesis or formation of new blood vessels. It always starts with mutation in the genome or the genetic makeup of a person inside the cell. Before PPARs, most of my patients, they were unable to finish the chemotherapy regimens because of the side effects and because of discomfort during the process of chemotherapy.
Maria's son Dominic was diagnosed with stage 4 rhabdomyosarcoma when he was only 4 years old. While coping with the recovery of her other sick child, Maria found it hard to accept Dominic's condition.
It was actually very devastating kasi with Dominic, it was manifested mga 4 years old na siya eh. Unlike dun sa daughter ko na congenital talaga, baby pa lang. Yung mga bandang September, meron ng umuumbok-umbok dito sa leeg niya. Hindi ko talagang iniisip na cancer kaagad siya until nag-nosebleed siya.
Dominic was prescribed chemotherapy, but his family insisted to rush to an integrative doctor to seek for alternative cure.
Medyo hesitant ako kasi as a mother, I know the side effects ng chemotherapy kasi. So what I did is that I rushed towards the integrative doctor of my daughter, who happened to be PPAR partner doctor of Simply Nature.
One of the hardest decisions to make for people living with cancer is choosing the kind of treatment that would work best. To help patients and their families deal with this growing health problem, one company commits to producing safe, credible, and natural health solutions by drawing on the latest bioscience technology to deliver a series of safe, efficient, and natural products. What is Simply Nature and what does it do?
Simply Nature is a company we created and founded about 10 years ago. Our mission is to find effective health solutions for people. So we provide natural products that work in combination with conventional therapy and medicine.
As an international company that provides natural solutions for cancer, metabolic syndrome, and degenerative diseases, the management upholds a health philosophy that centers on whole food nutrition as the frontier in health management.
When we talk about choosing treatment, especially in the area of cancer, patients are really afraid of chemotherapy because of its side effects, and they tend to then look towards natural products. But this is not a either conventional or natural choice. At Simply Nature, patients can have the best of both worlds. Our protocols work with conventional chemotherapy to minimize its side effects so that they can get the best treatment using both conventional and natural together.
Cancer is like a virus. It continuously evolves, it mutates. So it can develop defenses against our usual treatment modalities like chemotherapy.
Like I said, chemotherapy and radiation therapy have a lot of side effects. So more often than not, patients stop their treatment because of these side effects. It's very important to have the support.
With the supplements that we give the patients, there will be lesser side effects, so they will be able to finish their chemotherapy protocols more comfortably.
This company introduced PPARs, which is touted as one of the best natural ways of solving serious health problems.
PPARs stands for peroxisome proliferator activating receptors. It's basically a nuclear receptor found inside the cells. Now, when these receptors are activated, the benefit that you can get from that is, number one, cellular differentiation. Number two, it's to promote fatty acid metabolism. If you have better insulin function, your blood sugar will naturally go down. And another one is to induce cancer cell death by modulating the immune system.
As a sole distributor of PPARs, the company promotes its use to many reputable health institutions worldwide and actively organizes corporate health conferences and public health talks in Asia.
Simply Nature PPARs is made out of a special strain of these types of microalgae. It is very effective by protecting the bone marrow. We maintain the integrity of the immune system of the patient, which is very important to prevent infections and to fight off the cancer itself. And also, Simply Nature PPARs is also very dense in nutrients so that the patient can recover faster because of better cellular healing.
Sabi ko parang na-lead kami to an extraordinary and I must say amazing journey. I'm very proud of him. At a young age, na 8 years old, he believed that it's his purpose to siguro encourage other people then. We would like to really pay it forward with the knowledge that there's really like Simply Nature that can help people with cancer very much.
When fighting cancer, living healthy is very important because it allows us to pursue what is important to us in life, and that's what it's all about. When we can help a patient move from being bedridden to getting up, to be lucid in thought so that they can have conversations with their loved ones, it gives the whole process of fighting cancer a whole new meaning. And that is what drives us at Simply Nature.
But I really wanted to share yung poem from Childhouse. So 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, the sort of house I live in, or the kind of car I drove, but the world may be different because I was important in the life of a child.
Good morning, everyone. We are from Simply Nature, and that is Tito Shen, and I'm Tita Jesslyn.
And you put on your chest, say, Jesus loves me.
Jesus loves me.
For our gratitude, Mr. Shan.
Ha? Ito na ba ang mga sundalo ng Israelita? Maliit man ako sa iyong paningin, malaki ang aking Diyos. Tutulungan ako ng aking Diyos at lalabanan kita at tatalunin kita.
Nayanig ang paligid sa pagbagsak ni Goliath.
Pinupurit, sinasamba kita. And Lord, we believe you for testimony for every child in this place. In Jesus' name we pray. And all God's people say, Amen! Hallelujah!
Nung 2022 po, yung parang inipon ko talagang pera pambili nung Simply Nature, nung vials, na PPARs. Yun po yung iniinom ko.
Cancer lang siya, strong tayo. Kaya patuloy lang po tayong lumaban kasi may Panginoon tayong gumagabay sa atin lagi. Yun lang.
And on behalf of the Simply Nature team, God bless you all. Maraming salamat for blessing us this day. We hope that we have made you all happy. God bless you once again. Here in Simply Nature, we are always with you from start to healing. Thank you, everybody.
CA markers. Mataas siya. Then, nung after 3 months, nung pag-take ko ng Simply Nature, doon, naging normal na siya until now. Kahit si Dr. Johan na gulat siya kasi biglang normal agad in just 3 months, nag-normal agad yung CEA ko. 1 year and 5 months. Cancer-free. Dapat may food supplements kayo. Like Simply Nature na proven and tested ko na. Talagang hindi ako pwedeng mawala ng Simply Nature na yan.
2019, I was being diagnosed a cancer of my uterus. So I was shocked. Sabi ko, bakit nagkaroon ako ng ganito? Samantalang hindi ako mahilig sa pagkain. I'm sorry, basura. Started the tablet and then the powder. Tinry ko din yung yung tawag dito.
Gel?
Yeah, yung gel. Yes. It's really good. After 2 months ng aking therapy and taking PPARs, sabi ni doktora, magpa-laboratory ka na. So, nung nagpa-laboratory na ako, praise God, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, lahat normal. To God be the glory. Salamat sa Diyos. Sa 2 months ko po ng aking pag-take ng PPARs, ako po ay cancer-free.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Simply Healed. Tonight is a very special episode because we have our returning favorite guest, our favorite oncological surgeon, Dr. Catapia from Manila Medical City. He's one of the best surgeons that you can find if you are looking for a surgeon to treat you in cancer who also appreciates how important it is to have a holistic approach to treating your cancer. So Dr. Jimmy and I will be discussing chemotherapy. All right, this is in fact the most often asked question by our viewers, which is how can we avoid surgery and avoid chemotherapy? Well, tonight we actually have an oncological surgeon going to talk to us about why it is important to have chemotherapy and how safe it can be and what you can do to make it a successful protocol in your fight against cancer. And also to answer those questions like, can I avoid surgery? Should I avoid surgery now that I know I'm diagnosed with cancer? All this tonight. So enjoy yourself. It's going to be a good episode. Welcome everybody, and I'd like to have a special thanks to our special guest today, which is Dr. Jimmy from Manila Medical City. Dr. Jimmy is a very experienced oncological surgeon, and he is well versed, and we're just so honored to have him here today to have a chat about oncological procedures, about chemotherapy, so that both our doctors and our viewers can understand a bit more about this topic. So, Dr. Jimmy, welcome.
Thank you, Sir Sean, and good day to all the viewers.
Yeah.
It's nice to have you here again.
And a new venue today. We are taping in a new venue today. Doc Jimmy, you know, when we talked to, I've just yesterday I bumped into my neighbor, and she is undergoing chemotherapy. And as I talked to her, I realized she has very little idea about the chemotherapy she's taking, and she's just not sure about what the drug she's taking. And I do notice that that's the case with many cancer patients, that they don't really understand chemotherapy and its uses and what's going to happen to them. So we hope that today, having you here on board, that you can answer all their questions later during the Q&A and also give them a good overview. Dr. Jimmy, but before we begin, Dr. Jimmy, I'm looking at the statistics for Philippines. Total number of cancer patients in Philippines is about 1 million, and just in new cases is 153,000. And these are the existing prevalent cases, 5-year. Wow. So on the ground, what can you say about the cancer rate in Philippines?
Actually, there are many cancer patients in the Philippines. Actually, what we see in the statistics from Globocan is actually underestimated, because the source of these data are from few chosen government hospitals only.
Okay.
So we do not have a data on the private patients that have breast cancer, and also in the far-flung areas of the Philippines. So this is actually just an estimate.
So the real number of cases are even
far.
And here it says that lung cancer, colorectal, and prostate, liver are the most common for males, and for women is breast, cervix, colorectum again, and lung and ovary. Wow, I was surprised to see lung cancer being so prevalent. Well, lung cancer is quite hard to treat if it's later stages.
It's very common among males.
It's very common among males. Okay. Doc, so cancer is here to stay, and statistics have shown that it's almost like 1 in 10 easily, maybe even 2 in 10. And as the years go by, this rate is going to continue to go up. Doc, before we ask you about oncological protocols, maybe a little bit about your history. When I first met you, I heard how you started, and I was a bit surprised because you were quite open to natural lifestyle medicine, and you're quite open, and you actually told me nutrition is important. That's very different from the standard answer we get from some oncologists that our patients have encountered. Because one of the most common things patients ask their oncos is, Doc, what can I eat? And the answer is, you can eat anything, but that's a bit different from you. You actually pay attention to nutrition. So Doc, why is that?
Actually, I trained in Philippine General Hospital for my residency in surgery and also for surgical oncology fellowship. My mentor during that time has a classmate who is in integrative medicine.
Oh, is in integrative medicine.
My mentor introduced me to her.
Okay.
So I also learned I'm an integrative doctor.
Alright.
I became friends with the integrative doctor who's also a classmate of my surgeon mentor.
All right. So Doc Jimmy, your background is quite different from the standard oncologist. You are actually very open and you understand all the natural integrative approaches. So to all our audience, I think this is really great because Doc Jimmy is not just pro chemo and his knowledge base is not just that. He's well versed in integrative medicine as well. But Doc, even though you understand and appreciate the natural side, could you perhaps share with our doctors and also with our patients why chemotherapy is still so important? Why not just natural? I mean, you recognize that natural is important, but why is chemotherapy still so important?
Okay, that's a very good question. So until there's already a magic drug that can treat all, no? For now, we have to do chemotherapy because chemotherapy drugs are well-researched drugs. They are scientifically proven. Usually, before a chemotherapy drug is introduced to the market, they undergo many steps in research, no? They first test it in the laboratory, then in animal models, then human models. So the process almost 5 to 10 years, sometimes 15 to 20 years.
Before the drug can be freely
before
administered.
a drug can be given to the as a commercial drug, no? Can be given as a commercial drug. So it really is an evidence-based. That's what we call in Western medicine. Those drugs are evidence-based products. So they are scientifically proven. Their safety as well as their efficacy are very much known
and documented.
Doc
Jimmy, how long have you been applying or using chemotherapy protocols?
Even during my residency and fellowship training,
So
and
that's-
even up to now.
So is that about more than 10, 15 years, right?
I think more than 20.
More than 20. I wasn't gonna give up his age. Right. So over the last 20 years, for patients and many integrative doctors, I think there is still a hang up on the negative side effects of chemotherapy. But since you've been practicing and using chemotherapy protocols for so many years, 2 decades, have you seen any changes? What are the changes in the chemotherapy drugs? Have they improved over the years? Your comments about that.
Of course, the chemotherapy side effects are always there. As clinicians, we should explain to the patients what the chemotherapy drugs that should be given to them, as well as the possible side effects, so that they won't be surprised if they experience a side effect. And of course, if they experience side effect, they know what to do. So that's the number one thing to do for your patient. Number two, you have to know how to lessen those side effects, or if possible, make those side effects go away totally.
Wow, I think that's very, very interesting and very important because for patients especially, we keep hearing about side effects of chemotherapy. It's probably a first for some patients to hear that an onco actually would make provisions to lessen the side effects of chemotherapy. So Dr. Jimmy, for your own practice, how do you approach these side effects of chemotherapy, and what do you do? Before you met us, before you met Simply Nature, what did you do? And after you met us, what do you do?
When I was just starting my private practice, of course, I only apply what I learned in the hospital, in PGH, to give antiemetics for vomiting and nausea, to give proton pump inhibitors and H2 blockers for the stomach side effects, as well as for other side effects. We can give paracetamol for fever. We can give GCSF or those filgrastim, what we call filgrastim, to battle leukopenia or depression in the bone marrow. That's what I only do. But I think it's not enough. I realize those things are not enough because many of the patients actually are afraid of the side effects. I think that's the number one reason why they do not want to have chemotherapy, and why they do not want to continue chemotherapy.
That's true. That's also our experience with patients. But I mean, the good side is some patients have almost zero side effects from chemotherapy, but there are many patients also where even after one session, they feel so terrible that they don't want to continue.
Yes, each patient actually is different. There are some patients who only have one side effect or no side effects at all.
Yeah,
There are some patients who will have all the side effects.
All the side effects.
Or written in the brochure of the
everything.
The drug.
So how do you approach this? What do you do?
Sometimes you cannot do anything anymore after I've given all the possible drugs. I just reassure them it's okay.
So is that where
your body will adjust? But actually, it's frustrating.
Is that? I mean, I remember my first meeting with you, and it was I was very encouraged because when I first met Dr. Jimmy in his clinic many years ago, I remember I told him that I believe that chemotherapy is effective. It's effective in killing cancer cells. And it was very encouraging for me because it was Dr. Jimmy who said, yes, but chemotherapy also has its side effects.
Downsides.
Yeah, I didn't expect Dr. Jimmy, the onco, to be the one acknowledging the side effects, especially since I represent Simply Nature, and he knew that we were nutraceuticals, right? And we were on the natural side of things. But what got me and Dr. Jimmy talking was, I asked Dr. Jimmy this question, which was like, Doc, if we can reduce the side effects of chemotherapy, would it help your patients? And that's when he smiled. He didn't kick me out of his clinic. And we began this exploration and this partnership and the friendship that has lasted, I think, 5 years now. I think almost 5 years.
Almost 5 years now.
And then we've helped many patients along the way. So later, Doc Jimmy will share maybe how he started and what convinced him about how our products and protocols can help. But today, Doc, I do want to ask you, chemotherapy is proven effective. It is very useful, but at the same time, there is a phenomena that will happen, I think, which is drug resistance. I think this is the part where perhaps you can share with patients and the doctors where the limits of chemotherapy is, because sometimes I get this a lot from patients. They're doing very well. The tumor shrank 75%, from 3 centimeters to now it's less than 1 centimeter. So the chemo is working, everything is working, and suddenly it stops working. Could you enlighten us what happens in those cases?
Actually, cancer cells are like cells or virus cells. No? They can adjust, they can mutate. So when they adjust and develop drug resistance, your chemotherapy treatment and even your targeted treatment will not work anymore. So number one reasons why your chemotherapy is not working and why there's drug resistance. Number one, maybe you're not giving the appropriate drugs. No? Okay. Number two, this is a very common reason for drug resistance: delay in chemotherapy, interval between cycles or sessions of chemotherapy. And what's the reason for delay? The side effects and financial reasons.
Oh, okay. Both are very real reasons.
Yes.
I really want to look at the side effects reason for drug resistance. But before we go into that, what is drug resistance in chemotherapy?
It is, for example, during the first chemotherapy session, you will see a considerable decrease in the size of a tumor. So it means the drug is working.
Yes.
Yes, but after some time, maybe after the second, after the third chemotherapy, you will not see any more response from the tumor, or maybe even the tumor maybe even growing big again.
Yes.
So that is drug resistance.
A simple diagram that we're flashing up will help you understand. Every time chemotherapy or any drug is being applied to your body, not only for cancer but especially for cancer, is that some cancer cells will start to be resistant to it. And given over time, these number of cells increase in the tumor to the extent that the tumor now becomes drug resistant. So as Dr. Jimmy, as you have highlighted, so the delay, so that means that if a patient going through chemotherapy becomes weak in the interim and we have to delay the treatment because we have to let the patient recover, that actually raises the statistics or probability of drug resistance because the cancer tumor has more time to react.
Yes, because of the delay in treatment, there will be new cancer cells that will repopulate the small tumor, no? And this will predominate. This will be the new resistant cancer cells.
Okay.
It already mutated.
So I think to all our listeners and to doctors who are supporting cancer patients going through their chemotherapy, one important thing to note is you got to go into your chemotherapy strong, and you got to stay strong. You don't want to delay the prescribed appointments, your chemotherapy schedules, because if you delay, then what is working might suddenly change.
Yes. And to prevent delay, we must lessen the side effect or totally eliminate the side effects.
So you mentioned after you use drugs and some patients just don't, the drugs are not enough. Maybe you can share how our meeting changed maybe some of the treatments of your patient.
Okay, I remember during our first meeting,
Yeah.
you introduced to me the product.
Yeah, were you
The simulator
skeptical?
part. Yeah, of course. I did not know you personally before.
Yes,
I
correct. We
introduced
were
the
absolute
product.
strangers, right?
And I'm trained in the Western medicine way.
Yeah.
So, but during that time, I was really frustrated because I have a colorectal cancer patient. After the second cycle of chemotherapy, he doesn't want to continue the chemotherapy anymore because of the side effects. There's depression in the bone marrow, what you call leukopenia.
Okay.
She also has considerable weight loss because she cannot eat. She always vomits. That's when I thought maybe I should try this product to this patient.
Okay.
Okay, and then yes,
What
I was
did-
surprised.
You were surprised.
Yes.
What did you give that patient? Was it liquid or soft gels for this particular patient?
Actually, your
Emerson.
no? Emerson gave to me the capsule.
Oh, the capsule
So
first.
I gave it for 3 times a day.
Okay.
Dosing for the patient.
Uh.
And she gained weight.
Oh,
There's lower incidence of vomiting and nausea, and we were able to complete the 12 sessions of chemotherapy.
Wow.
You know what? I was giving that patient cisplatin and capecitabine.
Okay.
Because this is a colorectal patient.
Yes.
And then, actually,
The
you
research-
you gave me a research.
Was on cisplatin.
Cisplatin and oxaliplatin. So,
Yeah.
so that's why. That's why.
But if you could you summarize what makes it different? What made you comfortable, apart from our years of friendship, to prescribe Simply Nature extracts to your patients? Because it is, even up to today, still unusual for an oncologist or any practitioner who's prescribing chemotherapy to recommend any form of supplementation apart from eat more bananas and fruits and vegetables. So what made you comfortable with our extracts?
In my several years of practice as a clinician and as a surgical oncologist, and during my experience also of giving chemotherapy, I find that conventional drugs used to combat side effects of chemotherapy are not enough. No? There are still many patients who will have many side effects of chemotherapy, and that will cause delay, and also some will stop the chemotherapy session. To be honest, I actually tried many supplements.
Oh, you have?
Because you're not the first person to
I'm not the
approach me.
first
Yes.
person to approach
I
you.
actually tried giving those stem cell activators.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Those used to be popular at
Yes.
one time. Yeah.
Even many algae-based supplements.
Yes.
Yes, actually, I tried all of them to my patients. But as a clinician, I want outcomes. It should be outcome-based. And it is also only in Simply Nature PPAR that I was able to have my desired outcome. Yes.
Which is that your patients recovered from the side effects of the chemotherapy.
Much lesser weight loss, much lesser vomiting and nausea. And some, they even say they got stronger even during chemotherapy session.
Even during the chemotherapy session, they got stronger. Yeah. So thank you, Doc Jimmy, for trusting us. And there you guys have heard it. That's the reason why Doc Jimmy prescribes Simply Nature extracts. And Doc, I didn't know that you've tried other algae products. So to all our viewers and doctors out there who are asking, there are other algae products, aren't they the same? Well, they're not the same. As Dr. Jimmy said, it is the outcome, seeing the results. So Simply Nature extracts deliver the results. And thank you, Dr. Jimmy, for using us to treat your patients.
Thank you very much.
So for all the doctors who are new to us and to our viewers as well, we actually tested our Simply Nature extracts on chemotherapy drugs, both cisplatin and oxaliplatin. So these drugs are actually the most common chemotherapy drugs used in at least 14 different types of cancer. And they are because to the viewers, to the patients, you may not know, but most chemotherapy is cocktail form, right? More than one chemotherapy drug. So cisplatin and oxaliplatin are one of the most common denominators found in many chemotherapy cocktails. So yeah, we tested it, and right now a lot of your patients you actually prepare them through using soft gel capsules.
Yes. Some of my patients, I gave them the powder or the
Really?
vial. Actually, it depends on the stage. If the patient has an advanced stage, like stage 4, stage 4, I initially give them the vial or the powder
To prepare them.
Yes, and during the maintenance phase, then I ship
To the
the soft gel capsule.
Wow. So, Dr. Jimmy, I think that's really interesting and very encouraging. And to the viewers out there, if you are looking for an oncological surgeon, there's no better one than Dr. Jimmy. Dr. Jimmy, you practice at Manila Med. So those of you, we will flash his contact details for all the viewers who are interested to find a surgeon, a unique surgeon like Dr. Jimmy, who has background, friends in integrative medicine, but still firmly rooted in his conventional medicine, but is also incorporating concepts where to strengthen you through your chemotherapy, through your surgery. There's no better person that here on our program that we would recommend than Dr. Jimmy. So yeah, Dr. Jimmy, any last advice for patients? Okay, wait, you do surgery, so let's take the opportunity. How important is surgery in the treatment of cancer? Because again, one of the most common questions that our viewers will ask is, can we avoid surgery? So what's the advice when it comes to surgery and cancer?
Okay, for solid tumors, when we speak of solid tumors, surgery is still the primary modality of treatment. Okay, we need to remove the primary tumor, and then to prevent recurrence of the tumor or the cancer, that's when we do the chemotherapy, the radiotherapy, the targeted therapy, or other forms of therapy. Okay, so for all the viewers there, and also for all the doctors who are listening right now, do not be afraid of chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is really effective. I've proven that during my more than 20 years of practice.
And now, especially with protocols that can mitigate and reduce the side effects of chemotherapy.
Yes, and there are newer types of chemotherapy drugs with lower or lesser side effects.
Which makes, again, if you have protocols that you can work with us to lower the side effects, and with the new more targeted chemotherapy drugs, that just means that we are effective on both sides, and it's just going to be great for the patient. Dr. Jimmy, one last question so that we can also be fair, because I'm sure the viewers will want me to ask you this question. Are there situations where surgery is not the option for cancer?
Yes, there are many situations. For example, very advanced stage 4 cancer. So in those situations, surgery is not anymore the number one option. Usually, the number one option is chemotherapy, or targeted therapy, or hormonal therapy. Depends on that type of cancer. And also, of course, for hematologic or blood cancers, there's no surgery.
Yeah, there's no surgery for that. Yeah. So again, I asked that question so that our viewers will know that it's not just because Dr. Jimmy is an oncological surgeon that he will actually prescribe surgery as the primary. There are situations where surgery is no longer an option, and that's usually when you are in the late stages, which also implies that if you're in the early stage, go for your surgery. That will be one of the best things that you can do. And then as we have learned in our program, and we can share more during the Ask Me Anything segment, chemotherapy is often used as a sweep up to ensure that there are no lingering cancer cells. And throughout this whole process, as Dr. Jimmy has enlightened all of us today, it is very important for cancer patients, and hence for other secondary practitioners that support the cancer treatment process, that we strengthen the patient nutritionally by choosing the right supplements. And here in this case, Simply Nature actually tested our supplements with chemotherapy drugs so that you are assured that there's no contraindications and that they have the right results, because it's actually being used by oncologists like Dr. Jimmy, and they see good results with their patients. And it's really encouraging. Patient who didn't want to go for chemotherapy felt strong enough to finish 12 sessions of chemotherapy. So once again, Dr. Jimmy, thank you for your time. I hope you can stick around for the quick Q&A.
Yes.
These doctors might have interesting questions for you. So once again, thank you everybody, and let's go to our Ask Me Anything segment.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sheila, and we are now in the AMA portion, or what we call the Ask Me Anything portion of our program. You are watching another episode of Simply Health webinar brought to you by Simply Nature, your long-time running healthcare awareness webinar here in social media. Our topic for tonight is finish your chemo without serious side effects. I'm sure that you have learned so much from the two gentlemen who shared the topic with you earlier today. But as mentioned, we are now in the Q&A portion. So to answer all our questions for tonight, I'd like to call on our CEO of Simply Nature, Mr. Sean Lim, and of course, our lifestyle medicine doctor, Dr. Jansen Tancalalan. Good evening, Sir Sean, and good evening, Dr. Jansen.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Simply Healed, and today's episode was truly very interesting, very focused, but very illuminating because it's very clear what we can do. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Johnson to join us today for the Q&A, the Ask Me Anything segment. Welcome, Dr. Johnson.
Hello, Sean. Hello, Sheila. Happy to be here. Hello to all our viewers tonight.
Thank you. All right. You are correct, Sir Sean. This is truly a good topic to start off this year, most especially for those people who just got diagnosed with cancer and about to start their treatment. Okay. So, to start off, the first question that we have here coming from Miss Rita. My friend, 44 years old, abdominal pain on and off, consulted to a doctor, colonoscopy done, biopsy done, and the result was descending colon abdominal mass adenocarcinoma. Doc, what is the best intervention for that case? Thank you and God bless.
First off is to remove the tumor. Okay? But the question is, how big is it? If it's large, then chemotherapy must be given first to shrink the tumor, to attempt to shrink the tumor. Then surgery can be done already. Okay, so this is the general approach on how we, on how oncos surgeons approach colon cancer, no, such as this case. On my part, since I'm a lifestyle medicine doctor, I'd approach it in a different way, on top of what the conventional medicine doctors will give, no? On top of the onco will give you or recommend to you. So since it's a colorectal cancer, so high fiber diet is very important. Okay, so immediately lifestyle change. And aside from that, we have to give you supplements, no, as well to boost, to nourish you, to enhance the nourishment as well. Simply Nature PPARs would actually be a good protocol to use because Simply Nature PPARs addresses the cancer at the root level. Okay, so why does cancer come out in the first place? It's because of genetic mutations, right? Genetic mutations happens in the DNA so that the DNA replicates itself unrestricted. Okay, so we have to address that, and Simply Nature PPARs addresses this at that level. Okay, so that's how I would approach things. But first off, so I can make the more appropriate recommendation, I suggest for you to go for a consult so we can start this off properly. Okay. Yeah.
No, I think that's a very clear, I guess, pathway or strategy on what's going to happen next. I think many viewers enjoy or appreciate this program because we are able to explain to them and give them a clear idea of what's going to happen, how are they going to approach cancer. So I want to encourage viewers that you can always ask follow-up questions to the answers that we give you, because every question that you ask gives you a clearer and clearer answer, because every answer that we give you, there might be more questions in them that you have. So don't just stop where you stop. Feel free to continue to pursue and ask another question from the answers that we give you. I can see, hi Lily, Dr. Johnson, Lily's greeting us from Malaysia. All right, okay, for those of you who want to have a appointment with Dr. Jimmy, just I think our healthcare specialist or Sheila will reach out to you after the program, and we can put you into contact with Dr. Jimmy. I just want to share that Dr. Jimmy is really an amazing surgeon, because Simply Nature has our medical reps that visit these doctors, and one of my med reps actually, when they were sitting outside Dr. Jimmy's clinic waiting for him to finish his consultation day, he can overhear Dr. Jimmy's patients speaking about him outside his clinic. So they said the things that they say is like, Dr. Jimmy is a very different doctor. He's not about the money. I think that's hard to find nowadays. I think that's very important to patients, that their doctors are sincere in treating them. So one thing I do know is that Dr. Jimmy is really a good man with a good heart, and is a good doctor because of that.
Thank you, Sir Sean. Thank you, Dr. Jansen. Okay, so for the next question that we have here, right, are coming from Ms. Ligaya Tan. Okay, Doc, just a question. What's recommended for me for my active cancer is 15 tablets in the morning and 15 tablets, PPARs. She's talking about PPARs. 15 tablets in the morning and 15 tablets in the evening. But for us, for people like us who has budget constraint, is it okay to just take 15 tablets for the whole day, like 10 in the morning and 5 in the evening?
For this,
can I ask? Let me ask some questions first.
Answer.
Okay. If you're a cancer patient and you're only taking the tablets, are you taking any of the extracts at all? Okay. If you're not taking any of the extracts at all, I can say with certainty that the protocol that you're using is giving you a good nutritional supplementation for cancer, but you're not really treating your cancer, all right? Because the concentration of what you're taking is not sufficient, especially if you are stage 3 or 4. Okay, so I think the first answer is no. Okay, it's not going to be enough. Okay, and we really need to know what else you're doing, just for comparison, so that everyone has a good idea why I'm so confident to say that what you're taking is not enough. Is this one soft gel capsule, Simply Nature PPAR soft gel capsule, is about 40 tablets. Okay, it's about equal to taking 40 PPAR tablets. One liquid vial is almost the same as drinking or taking in 400 tablets at one shot. Okay, but of course you're not taking 400 tablets, you're taking the PPAR agonist that is found in 400 tablets. So it's almost like you have to take 400 tablets in order to get the same level of PPAR agonist that triggers and activates your genes to fight cancer. Okay, so for this patient that is asking this question, my heart really goes out to you because you mentioned the reason why you want to cut down is because of financial reasons. And again, I want to mention to everybody, there are many reasons why patients use Simply Nature PPAR protocols. One is to support whatever oncological protocols, for example, chemotherapy and all this. The other reason is, you'll be surprised, our protocols are more affordable than chemotherapy to patients who have a tight financial budget. And I'll tell you why, okay? The reason is, if you have to do chemotherapy, you can't do one session of chemotherapy. You have to do 12 sessions of chemotherapy. So maybe you have to commit 1 million pesos or 600,000 pesos. If you want to start chemotherapy, you cannot start it and then finish and do it halfway. No onco would allow you to do that, because you won't have the results that you're supposed to have. You can't do half of your chemotherapy. You have to be ready to do all in order to get results, all right? And because of this, our protocols are more of a thingy in a sense. You don't have to commit to taking many months of it. You can take, and then you'll be able to see if your body reacts well. If it does react well, then you are more confident to take the next dose, all right, because you know that your body is reacting well. So you will definitely be able to prioritize where your money goes. So we end up actually many patients who are financially tight, who can't commit to, let's say, 1.5 million pesos of chemotherapy and hospital treatment. They would go and try our liquid extract first, right? So this is another reason why many of our patients are not necessarily the wealthy patients. You know, there are patients who are looking for an option that they can try and know whether it suits them or not. So for this particular patient, I would definitely encourage you to book a consult with Dr. Johnson, or at least ask some questions more. Let us know more about your cancer situation. 15 tablets is basically, you're just getting the best nutrition supplementation that you can for cancer, but you're not really treating your cancer. Dr. Johnson?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Shan said. For cancer, usually the burden is much higher. Okay, so it just supplementing with 15 or 30 microtablets a day won't be enough. Okay, because you're just getting basically the nutrition, the best nutrition.
It will help.
Is.
It will give you energy.
Yes.
It'll make you feel better.
Yeah,
but it's not going to reverse the cancer.
It's not going to shrink down. Okay, so in order to attempt to shrink down, now of course patients would sometimes prefer non-chemotherapy, non-radiation therapy, or no surgery, treatment modalities because of whatever reason. So they would rather go for the alternative ones. So if you are going to take that path, so the extracts would be a more appropriate protocol. But of course, not just the extracts. You would have to take a combination of the extract and the tablets, because the tablets is the basic form. Okay, that's how I would approach things. So just to set expectations here, if you take the basic stuff like just the tablets to address cancer, you won't. It's going to be very difficult to shrink the tumor or to address the cancer. Although you might experience some more energy.
It will help with preparing your body to fight cancer, but it won't be enough to really turn the tide around. Okay, but definitely if you are on it, I won't be surprised that before taking the PPAR tablets you were not feeling that great. After you took the PPAR tablets, you felt stronger. Maybe you felt that your body is now doing better than it was fighting the cancer. But we just want to be clear that it helps your body get stronger, but it is in itself is not enough to totally change the battle that you're fighting against cancer. Of course, miracles can happen. Some people react very well to even a low dosage, but then that again is really very rare. So I would suggest go for a consult, choose the right extracts, okay, to take. The good news is, unlike chemotherapy, you don't have to commit 1.5 million, right? You commit anything anywhere between 20,000 to 50,000, and then you will know already, okay, is this right for me? One of the difficulties of spending money is that you're not sure the money that you spend is helping you or not, right? So this one benefit or one advantage, you can take at whatever your finances allow you, and then you can make a judgment call. Okay, does this protocol work for me, or should I try something else? Right?
Great point. Thank you, Sir Sean. Thank you, Dr. Jansen. Okay, actually, Ms. Ligayatan dropped a follow-up comment about her condition, which is she said that it's uterine mass with metastasized in T12 and L1. So yeah, just like what they to echo out what they said, please do have a consult with Dr. Jansen Tancalalan. And for those of you other people who wish to have a consult with Dr. Jansen, in the description box there's a link where you can set a schedule for you to be to have a conversation with our pretty Miss Beth. Okay, she'll give you the instructions and also your schedule with Dr. Jansen. Beth.
Okay? So is this Sheila, is this the client that the viewer that asked about the 15 tablets? Is it Miss Lagaya?
Yes, it's the same.
Oh wow, okay, so you have metastasis. Definitely the tablets is not enough. She asked whether radiation is advisable in comparison to chemo for metastasized. It depends on, but in this case, what would you say?
In this case, no, not anymore, because the cancer has already spread. For radiation therapy, so it's a localized treatment. Okay, so a few purposes of radiation therapy would be, number one, of course, to shrink the tumor itself. However, if the tumor has spread already, then it's moot already, because even if you address the main tumor,
there are other
tumors elsewhere in your body. No? So giving radiation therapy at this point will not be beneficial anymore. It will just risk you getting exposed to radiation. However, even though we have in the premise of metastatic cancer, if the patient is bleeding, let's say for example for cervical cancer, patient is bleeding out, you want to stop the bleeding, then we can consider radiation therapy.
To address that one particular problem.
Yes, to stop the bleeding, but just to stop the bleeding.
Not to actually treat the cancer.
Yes. Another case where we use radiation therapy in metastatic cancer is when the cancer has spread to a lymph node that blocks the superior vena cava. Okay, the superior vena cava is a major vein that brings blood or delivers blood to the heart. Okay, so it's located just above the heart, right around the right portion. Okay, just above the heart. So if a lymph node there has metastasis and the lymph node increases in size, so the superior vena cava will be blocked, and that is when a lot of signs and symptoms would come up, and we call this a superior vena cava syndrome, which is an emergency. It's a medical emergency, and it is the one case where radiation therapy can be used. Okay, so those are some scenarios where radiation therapy can be used, But if you don't have one of these scenarios, then I won't recommend going for radiation therapy. So for metastatic cancer, it would still be chemotherapy, immunotherapy, targeted therapy, or hormone therapy. Okay.
All right. I mean, I think what we must always remember in programs like what we do, okay, when you ask questions and Dr. Jansen and I answer, is to give you understanding on the strategies that you're using now. But please, you are not giving us complete details. So go for a consult and give us the complete details. But from what we say to you, it should give you like an understanding so that it's easier for you to make the next decision, which is like to go to a consult or not. Okay, just to reiterate what Dr. Jansen has said, radiation therapy is like shooting a sniper rifle or a gun. It is a bullet that goes straight and hits the target, right? Now, when your cancer has spread, what you want is Maron, like a gas bomb, right? The grenade explodes, then the poison gas spreads everywhere. It's not hitting one target. It's hitting like a whole area. Okay, the reason is very simple. Your cancer is no longer at one place. It's in multiple places. So you can't just use a gun to shoot one point, right? Because even if you shoot the target accurately, there are still many other places where your body has the cancer. So you want to be able to attack all the cancer tumors at the same time. And now it's of course not advisable, it's not possible to aim radiation and shoot 6 different parts of your body with radiation gun in that sense, right? Then you'll be exposed to a lot of radiation and it might not be effective. That is why chemotherapy, immunotherapy, and targeted therapy becomes the strategy that you would use. I hope, Miss Lagaya, I hope that my explanation gives you an idea and narrows down what you would want to use to treat your cancer. To help you make that final decision or become clearer on the next step to do, go for a consult. I hope this answering of your questions give you enough confidence to know that Dr. Johnson can help you in the consult that he will have with you.
Most definitely. Please stay strong, Ms. Ligaya, and do have a consult with Dr. Johnson. Okay. All right. So the next question that we have here coming from Ms. Isa Narciso. Hello, Doc. I had an infection after I gave birth, cesarean, that I had to do a CT scan, and then there was seen that I have a pancreatic tail mass of 10 cm. Would that require an open surgery to remove, whether benign or malignant? Please advise. Thank you.
Okay, I need more information with your case, so I suggest for you to go for a consult. But just to answer your question, no, a 10 centimeter pancreatic tail mass, in order to remove that, yes, it would require an open surgery. Whether it's benign or malignant, that question remains to be answered once the tumor has been removed. Okay? However, since it's 10 centimeters, that would still require surgery to remove, because 10 centimeters is huge. No? It's really huge. That can block your bowel. Then you'll have bowel obstruction that would cause abdominal pain. It can cause vomiting. So quality of life would not be good at all. So I advise you to go for a consult so I can have more information and we can help you. Okay.
But in this case, it looks like one way or another, surgery looks like the best, most likely option.
But more scans have to be done, because if this pancreatic tail mass is malignant, hopefully not, no. But if it's malignant, it has metastasized to elsewhere, then surgery might not be a good idea. Okay, and it's 10 centimeters, so that is huge. Probably if it's malignant as well, no, the onco might recommend chemotherapy first to shrink down the tumor, so that when surgeons go in, it would be easier to remove. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Okay, next question.
Sheila, just wanted to inject something. Dr. Johnson always answers oncological protocols because, number one, he is a doctor by profession, right? But for patients who, please don't misunderstand, for patients who say, I really don't want to use conventional medicine, Dr. Johnson, can you help me? The answer is yes, right? Dr. Johnson can still help you, but you have to tell him very clearly why you don't want to use conventional medicine, and he will also be able to give you natural protocols to treat and fight cancer. Now again, I just want to say that why do we advocate the use of both conventional and natural is because here at Simply Healed, we've already found a way to remove the negative side effects of conventional medicine, which is the chemotherapy, right? So since the negative side effect is removed or managed, then conventional therapy is no longer scary. When you hear about chemotherapy, you always hear about all the scary things that are the side effects. If we can remove the side effects, if we can manage the side effects with the PPAP protocol, then you are left with the good news of chemotherapy. It kills cancer, right? Remember, anyone that hears about chemotherapy, you hear this. Chemotherapy kills cancer cells, but it also hurts the body. That's why everybody's afraid of that. If we are able to remove the second part, which is it also hurts healthy cells, then all that you have left with is chemotherapy kills cancer cells. So that's not a bad thing. That is actually a good thing. So please don't misunderstand. For those of us, the viewers who are looking for a natural solution, it's not that we are not advocating one. We would rather that you do all everything that's available that will give you a better fighting chance in winning your fight against cancer. All right. But again, if you want true 100% natural, just let Dr. Johnson know. He has his lifestyle medicine protocols, which are totally natural, together with PPAR protocols, which are totally natural. But you have to let him know.
Yes, I just want to add quickly, I've seen how Dr. Jansen do his consult, and he actually asked for the other supplements that the patients are taking, because one of the questions a while ago has concerns about the PPAR protocol. And some of our patients are actually amazed that we are only recommending like a tandem of 2 or at the most 3, which are the extract, the tablet, and of course the cleansing plus. And I guess, yeah, it's really the best way to understand if you really need to take your other supplements alongside PPARs, because PPARs, there's really a lot more than what you know about PPARs tablets. That's why it's included.
Yeah, and also, of course, when cancer, those, sorry, start of the year, brain needs to work out, okay? Now, when it comes to fighting cancer, one of the biggest issues is always finances, which Ms. Lagaya pointed out. I was just in Singapore over the New Year, and I was talking to a patient who spent 4,000 is 160,000 pesos a month on Lingzi. That's just one supplement, and so you can imagine when he wants to make decision on what supplements to take for cancer, how does he make the decision? It's almost like the first person to come to him first, that's the product here he used. That's a terrible way to make a decision on fighting cancer. So that's why speaking to Dr. Johnson, he will ask you what supplements you're taking, so that we try and understand how is it working for your cancer, what's the strategy behind the supplements that you're taking. So, you can't just take supplements and expect it to be a miracle cure. You got to know how it works and to see whether that really works for your cancer or not. Okay?
Thank you, Sir Sean. Thank you, Dr. Jansen. Okay, another question sent to us privately by Ms. Angelica. Doc, is it true that the stronger the side effects I'm experiencing, the more chemo is working on my body?
Oh.
Not really.
No, not really. No, not really.
Okay.
Good question.
Doc, before you share, I just share an anecdotal thing. Okay. Doc Jimmy tells me, because today's program, Doc Jimmy administers chemotherapy. Doc Jimmy says there are patients of his that show zero side effects from chemotherapy, and chemotherapy works very well for them. So that's just a gift, and that's from practical experience from a person who administers hundreds and thousands of chemotherapy patients a year, right? So there you go. Yeah, Dr. Johnson.
That's totally true. There are a lot of patients, actually a lot of cancer patients, who undergo chemotherapy without experiencing much side effects. So it's not necessarily that if you experience a lot of side effects, then the chemotherapy is really working very well. Okay? No.
Not for chemotherapy. For exercise, yes. If you exercise and you don't feel muscle aches, you're not exercising. Okay, but for chemotherapy, no, it's not. Okay, it's not.
So how do we know that the chemotherapy is working well? Okay, it's in the imaging studies.
Okay.
It's in the imaging study. What do we look for? What do we look for in the imaging study? It's the size.
Your tumor size must go down.
Yeah, tumor size must decrease, right?
So it's not the pain that you experience in chemotherapy.
Yes.
It's whether your tumor shrink or not.
Yeah. Also, it would be if there are for more advanced cancers like metastatic stage 4, there will be areas in your body where there are spread of cancer, and then after the chemotherapy they disappear.
Wow.
Okay, so that is chemotherapy working. Now, side effects, experiencing side effects from chemotherapy is actually more of the status or the status of your body before you went into chemotherapy. Are you healthy? Are you strong? That is the question. Okay, so usually we notice that if the patient has a lot of comorbid conditions or pre-existing illnesses prior to initiating chemotherapy, then side effects would come.
So if the healthier you are, the less side effects in general.
Yes.
There's always specific patients that show different
I'll
reactions.
give you an example. I have this patient, Shan, it was Shan's friend. He referred this patient to me, breast cancer patient. This patient is, when we talk, although she has cancer, but prior to her getting cancer, the way she lived a very active lifestyle. She's up and about because she works in a I don't know if she's
building
an agent.
management.
So she really literally meets clients all around the city.
Yeah.
Okay, so that alone, she walks a lot. She stands for long periods of time every day. She eats well, no. So that alone, and she's quite young, and that alone gave her an edge, no. So when she received the chemotherapy,
Oh, now I know which one you're talking about. Okay.
although she lost her hair,
All right.
but she remains strong.
Yeah,
Although
yeah.
I think it's also the papers that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
she's taking.
Correct,
But
correct.
she's strong. I mean, she's working and at the same time receiving chemotherapy. Although she feels fatigue,
Yeah.
but vomiting or nausea, there was none of this.
None of that. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so
But what happened when she was on chemo was that her menses stopped.
Yes.
But when she was on PPARs and
It came
chemo, her menses came back, and she was
Yes,
so
yes,
happy about that.
right now when we right now I think she already finished
Yeah,
chemotherapy.
she's fine. I
She's
saw her the
on-
other day.
Yeah, she's on radiation therapy already. Tumor already shrank quite a lot.
And you can't tell. You can't tell that
You
she's a
really
cancer
can't tell.
patient.
You really can't tell because some women they have this style overseas, right, where women are buff and and women still look amazing.
Yeah,
And
she
even
looks
if,
amazing.
Yeah, it's just their style, no. Some women does this style, so you really can't tell. You really can't tell. Okay, so that's the answer to your question.
And for the viewer who asked this question, please have a consult with Dr. Johnson and get yourself on a PIPA protocol, because if you are going through chemotherapy and if you ask this question, I am guessing that you are telling yourself, I'm having all these side effects, so it must be working. No, let's manage these side effects, because these side effects will have issues after your chemotherapy. When you successfully complete your chemotherapy and your cancer is beaten, all these lingering side effects that you have will contribute to the cancer coming back. Alright? So if you go through chemo strong, the chances of cancer coming back later is actually less. If you go through chemotherapy with lots of side effects, the chances of recurrence coming back is going to be higher, right? Because your body is more damaged, your immune system is more compromised after the chemotherapy. Okay, so for that viewer, please go for a consult. Let's manage all these pains or side effects that you have so that your chemo will be good, and after that, your chances of the cancer coming back will be less.
Yes, very encouraging. Thank you, Sir Sean. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Okay, another question thrown to us. Okay. Is oral chemo less effective than IV chemo?
No,
Miss Mary Jo.
not necessarily. The oral chemo is as effective as IV chemo. So you just have to give it to the right patient, okay?
Yeah.
The right cancer type. Okay, so yeah.
There are many different types of chemotherapy drugs, and most chemo patients will go and take a cocktail of chemotherapy drugs, because each chemotherapy drug attacks the cancer from a different pathway or gate. All right, so it's just like drinking a cocktail at a bar. It's not one alcohol, it's different flavors, right? So to make a cocktail. So because of that, there are many different, I just want to highlight that there are many different types of chemotherapy drugs. Some are IV, some are oral. So no one is better than the other. You have to take the right one for your cancer. Okay? You got to take the right one for your cancer. I know, because when a doctor gives a patient chemotherapy, he just says, I give you chemotherapy. It doesn't tell you. Many patients don't. Well, a lot of patients don't know exactly what type of chemotherapy drugs they are taking. You have to look at the drugs to make sure they're the correct ones for your cancer.
Thank you, Sir Sean. Thank you, Dr. Jensen. Okay, another question coming from Ms. Jasmine. Okay, Doc, what will happen if I miss my next chemo session?
Nothing to worry about. You just reschedule, then make sure that you go to your appointment, to your rescheduled appointment. So if you miss the next cycle, it's fine. As long as in the next few days you just make sure that you go for that appointment.
Don't schedule it 1 month later. Okay, let's just be a bit specific. I'm Singaporean, so we're very specific. Okay, you missed the appointment. Okay, but don't delay it 2 weeks. Okay, as soon as possible, best within the same week, you reschedule it and get it done. Don't delay it like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. No, that screws up the schedule of the chemotherapy. Okay? But if you miss that 1 day and you delay it 2 days, that's not gonna be a huge difference. All right.
Okay, thank you, Sir Sean. Thank you, Dr. Jensen. Okay, next, if a person can be immune with chemotherapy, how about with PPARs? Can a person be immune with PPARs and make it less effective?
No, I haven't seen in the medical literature. I haven't encountered such a thing as immune to PPAR agonists.
Okay, let me tell you. The question that you're asking is a good question. However, it's a question that is comparing apples and oranges. Okay, let me give you help you understand this. A chemotherapy drug is like when you were young. Did you ever play the game where there are square holes, right? And then you have to find your square block to put in a square hole. If you use the circular block, what's that called? Your thing cannot go in, right? You can't put a circle in the square. Okay, now that's chemotherapy and cancer. So why does a person become immune to chemotherapy? For example, the chemotherapy is a round object, and your hole was originally round. How did you become immune? Your round hole became square. The cancer cell mutated. So this chemotherapy drug doesn't work anymore. Okay, remember I said every chemotherapy drug must be matched to the right type of cancer. The cancer changed. This chemotherapy drug doesn't work for square cancers. It only works for round cancers. So your cancer cell mutated. The chemotherapy drug doesn't work anymore. Okay, so it's not really you are immune to the chemotherapy drug. That's a wrong word to use. You're not immune to the chemotherapy drug. The cancer cell is no longer the type of cancer cell that this chemotherapy drug is designed to kill. That's why it doesn't work anymore. Okay. Now, PPAR does not work like that. PPAR does not go after the cancer cell. PPAR goes to strengthen your own immune system cells. That doesn't change. All right. So that is like pumping petrol into your car and switching on the car engine. So PPAR is a key to a car engine. It's not a gun that you're trying to shoot a particular target. So they're really apples and oranges. And in short, yeah, your body doesn't become immune to PPARs. All right, not the same way that you understand in the sense that immune to chemotherapy.
Thank you, sir.
What Dr. Johnson said. What's happening? How come today you give the short answers and I give all the long answers? It's supposed to be the other way around, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, what the answer that Shad gave is correct. I think I cannot give a better analogy than that. So
okay.
Yeah, because it works in a very different way. Chemotherapy addresses the cancer directly. So that's why if you Google chemotherapy, you will find there cytotoxic chemotherapy. So cytotoxic means cytes is cells, toxic is toxic. So
poison.
Toxic, so cells will die.
Mm.
So if cells are exposed to chemotherapy, PPAR agonists are different.
Yeah.
PPAR agonist works how? They are gene activators. So genes can be expressed. Genes are expressed. Okay, so
there will be genes which are turned on, switched off. Okay, and in cancer, genes which controls the growth of cells are turned off. Okay, and the genes that promote cell growth are turned on. Okay, so it's something similar to a faucet. Okay, so you have your faucet, then you have your water tank. Okay, if you put in more water in the water tank, what will happen? The water that's coming out of the faucet will flow
faster.
Will flow faster. Okay, so that is turning on the cancer promoting genes. Okay, and when you turn off the faucet, that is similar to turning on the cancer controlling genes. Okay, so genes which control the growth of cells, you turn them on. So if you have cancer, okay, your faucet gets turned on. Okay, so now water is free flowing, cells are growing unrestrictedly. Okay, so it's similar it's something like that. Okay, so PPAR agonists work in a similar fashion. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Sir John. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Good question. Okay, another question coming from Ms. Dolly Kalubad. Good evening. Can Prolia be used for just 1 year, and then after 1 year I'll stop it? Are there also side effects for long-term use of Prolia?
Prolia, let me see. Prolia is denosumab. Okay, denosumab is very important for osteoporosis. Actually, for metastatic cancer with bone mets, it's also very important because if your cancer metastasizes to the bone, okay, so the bone can erode and you can form osteoporosis. Eventually, if the osteoporosis is not addressed, you can form fractures. Okay, so it's very important to actually denosumab is not the first line drug that is being given to patients who have metastatic bone cancer. Okay, the first one would be zoledronic acid. Okay, then if zoledronic acid is you're not responding to zoledronic acid already, or it's just too expensive for you, then denosumab would be another option. Now, denosumab and PPAR agonists really work well together. Okay, it works synergistically. It makes PPAR agonists makes denosumab build more bones
faster.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. That's really great.
Yeah. So long-term side effects of denosumab, not really
not really bad.
That's not really common, no. But some side effects would be just musculoskeletal pains, bone pain. So, but that's about it. And pain can be addressed very easily using pain relievers. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. Anyway, denosumab is not given really that frequently. No, denosumab is given I think it's once every month only, or once every 3 months. In some cases, once every 6 months. Yeah.
So to the viewer also, I would like to remind you that about diagnostics. We take diagnostics when we want to change our protocol or dosage, right? So your plan to go off the drug that you're currently using, a form of the denosumab, right, is probably the last trigger will be you go for a diagnostic, a scan.
Yeah.
And after you do the scan, you will know for sure, oh, okay, I'm fine. I don't have to take this drug anymore. Okay, so sometimes even though doctors say you will be on this drug for life, okay, for example, if just say, for example, you're diabetic, your doctor says you're gonna have to take metformin for life. But if you went to do a blood sugar test and your blood sugar is normal, you no longer have to take your metformin, even though your doctor said when you first took it that you will be having to take it for life. So what I'm just sharing with you is that based on your strategy, you want to take it only for 1 year. At the 1 year mark, go for the correct diagnostic and you'll be able to know for sure whether you can go off this drug or not. Okay? Despite whatever the doctor may have said to you that you might be on this drug for years or for life. But if after the diagnostic, it shows that you are well, then you no longer need the drug. Okay? So I hope that's helpful for you in executing the plan that you want to go for, which is to get off meds. And that's a good That's a good goal. That's a good goal to have, especially for 2023. The 2024, you're off meds, right? So let us help you.
Yes.
If you don't know which diagnostic to take to know whether you can stop your current meds, then why don't you just ask Doc Johnson? Go for a consult and ask him. All right?
That's right. Thank you, Sir John. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Okay. Quickly, another question coming from Ms. Rose. Doc, why is chemotherapy so expensive? I feel bad for those who really cannot afford it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not fair to ask Doc Johnson that because he doesn't produce the chemotherapy drugs. But on the business side, let me just share with you the many factors, but I can tell you why it's not cheap. It's not cheap because the companies who research the chemotherapy, they spend a lot of money researching it, and they need to make the money back. And then after that, they need a lot of more money, and we are talking about literally hundreds of millions of dollars, not peso, dollars, to make sure that they can research the next version of the drug. So this is the reason why these drugs are seldom cheap. Now, sometimes why they are more expensive might be due to taxes and, truth be told, sometimes bad practices among doctors who hike up the price or whatever. There can be many reasons, but the baseline reason why these drugs are not cheap is because the companies that research them have to make back the money and make more money to continue to fund very expensive research to find the next new drug. So it's a vicious cycle. That's why my heart goes out to all cancer patients. We acknowledge this one fact, right, that when you have cancer, it's not just a battle of your medical, it's a battle of your finances as well. It is very true that those who are wealthier have more options when they fight cancer. So this is definitely an encouragement to Filipinos and any cancer patients anywhere in the world to be prudent in how you spend your money when you fight cancer. Don't just spend it without understanding why you are taking this, why you are taking that. If you're spending so much money, make sure that at least you understand what's happening to you so that you know how to adjust the money that you are spending to get the results that you want. And this is why our program is here for you, to give you some basic understanding. Now, for specific questions, because cancer is nothing to be taken lightly, we will definitely encourage you to go for a consult so that we can give you a more accurate and reliable and effective advice.
Thank you, Sir Sean. This is also why it's best to really have like PPARs alongside your chemotherapy or your treatment, so that at first hit, you know that it's going to be a victory.
Yeah,
very important.
That's true.
Okay, all right. Another question coming from Ms. Alice De Castro. I'm diagnosed with rectal cancer stage 3D. I finished 8 sessions of chemo and 25 sessions of radiation, and until now, I'm taking oral chemo. After chemo, the size of mass from 5.5 to 1.7. What natural supplement to take just to avoid surgery? Congratulations. Good question.
See, a good example. Okay, number one, it does sound harrowing. 8 sessions of chemo and 25 sessions of radiation. I'm glad that you successfully went through that and you got good results. Dr. Johnson, what advice would you give to Miss Alice?
Well, I need more information, okay? But congratulations to you. So shrinking the mass from 5.5 to 1.7 is a really huge accomplishment, okay? So congratulations. What natural supplement can you take just to avoid surgery? Well, at this point in time, I think if the tumor continues to shrink down, surgery might be off the table.
Wow, that's good news.
Right? Because but of course we have to see. We have to see how you continue to respond. But here's a tip, okay? PPAR agonists and chemotherapy work hand in hand together. It even has some synergistic effect. So PPAR agonists can make chemotherapy, can make the effect of chemotherapy more pronounced.
More effective.
More effective. It can kill more cancer cells. And at the same time, there are certain chemotherapies that can make PPAR agonists work
better.
as well.
Mm.
Okay, so example for oral chemotherapy. Give you an example. Capecitabine. Capecitabine is an oral chemotherapy drug. It's actually really very common. Capecitabine is taken by breast cancer patients, colorectal cancer patients as well. No, so I don't know if that's the chemo drug that you're taking, but okay, just to put it out here, capecitabine, a chemotherapy drug, can make PPAR agonists more effective. How? Because in some individuals, some individuals express less PPAR receptors. Okay, so if you express less PPAR receptors, then PPAR agonists, you might need a higher amount of PPAR agonists to stimulate
your
an
immune
effect.
system.
To stimulate an effect. Okay. Now, capecitabine can make your body produce more PPAR agonist. So it would take a fewer amount of PPAR agonist to stimulate a pronounced effect. Okay, to stimulate to elicit an effect. Okay.
So one helps the other.
One helps the other. So that's how it works synergistically. Okay. So at this point in time, since it's 1.7, you can try PPAR agonists. Actually, please go for a consult so I can give you the proper protocol.
Looking forward to that.
It might even shrink further.
Yeah, if it shrinks further, then there's no need for surgery already. Absolutely. This is a very. Thank you for such an encouraging testimony on the program. Yeah. Congratulations, Alice. Congratulations. What a great way to start 2023.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Sir John. And thank you for the question, Miss Alice. Okay. Another question coming from Miss Carmelita. I'm scared to do biopsy. Will it irritate my tumor? I hear this. Like, some people are not advised. They are not advising patients to go for biopsy because it might grow. Is that true?
Yes. Okay. Here is the thing with biopsy, no. So what is a biopsy first? So biopsy is okay. So for example, you have a tumor, you have a mass, right? So a biopsy is just taking a piece of the tumor to send to the laboratory so that the doctors will know what kind of cancer it is, what are the molecules that it expresses, so that the doctors will know what drug to give you, what drug will be effective to treat your cancer. So that is the primary reason why we do biopsy. Okay? Now, if you are a patient who really decides, okay, I do not want to undergo conventional therapy, I do not want to undergo chemotherapy, all these drugs that the onco is recommending, I just want to live peacefully, have a good quality of life, preserve my quality of life, and yeah, I rest my case. If you are sort of that kind of patient, then why do a biopsy in the first place? Okay. Now, of course, there is this risk, no, that if the tumor is touched, okay, you get a piece of the tumor. Now, remember, this is cancer. So cancers are, cells replicating uncontrolled, no? So if you get a piece of that tissue, then what would be the natural reaction? It would try to heal itself. And since it doesn't have any control over its, over its growth, over its replication, then it will grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow quite fast. Okay? So we doctors observe this phenomenon quite frequently. Okay? So if we do a biopsy, then we have to treat you. Or else this will happen. The one that I just mentioned. Okay?
So that means don't go for a biopsy, and then after that, ignore the treatment of the doctor.
Yes.
Then don't go for the biopsy in the first place.
Yes, because it won't really make sense anymore. I mean, all signs and symptoms, all the stars are aligned, points to cancer. So we know, you yourself know you have cancer. So if you do not want the
chemo,
the treatments that your onco recommends you that requires biopsy, then don't go for it. I mean,
yep.
So again, it's so important that again, we're so happy that we are able to answer this question, because it just goes to show that as a cancer patient, you don't know why you go for the biopsy. Remember what we talked about just 10 minutes ago? There are many different types of chemotherapy drugs. And every drug is matched for a particular type of cancer. Again, if you have breast cancer, there are more than one type of breast cancer. So to a breast cancer patient, they say, oh, I have breast cancer, so give me the breast cancer chemotherapy drug. Well, that's not, the answer is not so simple. There are multiple types of breast cancer, and there are different types of breast cancer chemotherapy drugs. So to know which drug to give you, they need to do a biopsy. All right, to identify exactly what drug will work for the cancer. Like the friend I introduced to you, Dr. Johnson, it turns out her breast cancer had more than just breast cancer cells. It had different other types of cancer cells in that one tumor. 4, right? At least
4 or 5.
4 or 5 different types of cancer.
I think it was 4, yes.
Yeah, 4. So obviously you can't just use one type of chemotherapy drugs. You use multiple types of chemotherapy drugs. So without doing the biopsy, the doctor won't know that. But again, what Dr. Johnson explained to you is why biopsies are used. Now, if you never intended, swear to God, would never want to take chemotherapy, then there's no reason to do the biopsy. Because the biopsy, the moment you do the biopsy, you irritate the tumor. So immediately, once you do the biopsy, you want to do the chemotherapy or the immunotherapy or the targeted therapy, right? You want to do the treatment. If you decide to irritate the tumor and no treatment, then don't irritate the tumor in the first place. Okay, so I hope that answers why people do biopsy, even though there's a risk of irritating the tumor. But the reason is because after the biopsy, straight away we're going to start attacking the tumor. So that's so important. Okay.
Okay. Just to add, there are certain cases where doctors skip the biopsy. Okay. So doctors go right into surgery. Okay, so remove the tumor all in one go, everything.
Yep.
So if you have clear margins, then you're good. Just the doctors would just run some tests on the sample, the tumor that was taken from you. Then they'll be able to see which treatment protocols would be appropriate for you. So that way, you skip biopsy, you remove this risk.
Again, because the biopsy is to help you target your chemotherapy drugs. Ms. Nagaya had a very good follow-up question, and I think it's really helping. I'm very encouraged by this question because it means you understand what we're saying, and more questions come out because you understand. Doc, she asked, you can read it, right?
Yes.
So
doctor said that we need to do laparoscopic biopsy. Is it connected to the bone tumor and the uterine mass? Yes, most likely it is connected. So it is connected to the bone tumor or uterine mass. So the doctor now wants to find out if the tumor has mutated. Okay, so here is the.
So now Dr. Johnson is guessing why your doctor is wanting to do the biopsy.
Yeah. So that's why this cannot be
okay, this is not a official consult, all right? Okay. Please don't act on this because you're not giving us full information. That's you're gambling with your medical condition. Go for a proper consult. But we will take this case as a learning experience so that everybody can understand why people do biopsies.
Okay. So here's one. Okay. Now you started to develop these symptoms. Okay, now you were diagnosed with cancer, uterine cancer. Now you have undergone treatment protocols. Now, despite the treatment protocols, why is it that the cancer continued to spread? Okay. Now, of course, the doctor would think, okay, the treatment that I gave you might not have worked since the tumor spread, or it initially worked, but something changed in the cancer, so that the protocol that the doctor gave you did not work anymore.
It stopped working.
Yeah, it stopped working. So it changed. No, the square suddenly became a circle. The square suddenly became a triangle. Okay.
Yeah.
So the doctor would like to find out. Okay, what changed in this tumor. Okay? So that's why the doctor would like to get a sample again to do some tests on the tissue so that the doctor can make the appropriate treatment recommendations to address this. Okay? Now, in this premise, okay, since you already have metastatic cancer, then the risk of biopsy causing the spread of
It's
cancer
small
is
because your
already
cancer
gone.
has already spread.
It has already spread.
Yeah.
Okay? So at this point, you might you might
Nothing holding you back
nothing holding you back
from doing another biopsy. And there's a lot of benefit because your doctor is basically trying to adjust his gun. Right? He's changing the right bullet because the hole is no longer circle, it's triangle. It may be triangle, it may be square. He needs to know whether it's triangle or square so that he can load the gun with the right bullet so that it can enter to shoot the target. All right? So that's why the biopsy. I hope this discussion tonight has really given people a clear idea what biopsy is for and under what condition you can actually avoid doing biopsy.
Thank you. I bet that our viewers for tonight will never forget that square and round triangle explanation. Okay, I guess this will be our last question for tonight. But let's see. Coming from Ms. Marta Hernandez, what is the best medication to counter or stop numbness as the side effect of chemotherapy? Numbness of hands and feet.
Yeah, actually a very common side effect. Okay. Now, medications that I usually prescribe would be pregabalin, gabapentin, and vitamin B complex. But on the get-go, when I see patients, I immediately prescribe vitamin B complex anyway. So yeah, pregabalin or gabapentin would help. Okay, and of course, PPAR agonists as well. Okay. Yeah.
So if you want again to have a go for a consult or simply get if you want to just try, I simply go get PPAR tablets. I think someone asked where you can purchase PPAR tablets. Someone will answer that question. All right. I mean, someone from Simply Nature will get to you.
I will definitely.
Okay, Sheila will get to you.
Okay, so of course, as mentioned, yes, of course, just before we say goodbye to our viewers, this is our second episode of Simply Health webinar for this 2023, and I'm sure that we are actually cooking something very special for this year. Okay, I just want to ask for your quick parting words for our viewers for tonight.
Dr. Johnson,
starting off with Dr. Johnson.
Yeah. Okay, so here in Simply Heal, the way we approach cancer is totally different, no? So first of all, PPAR, we use natural therapy, lifestyle protocols, PPAR protocols to match your chemotherapy, to match the conventional therapy that you will undergo. Now, the best one is to use both. Okay? Lifestyle therapy, PPAR therapy with your chemo, immunotherapy, radiation therapy, whatever, surgery, targeted therapy, it's best used together. Now, on some occasions, you might be compelled to choose one. It's okay. Okay? We will find ways on how we can help you make whatever treatment protocol or whatever path you decide to walk more effective. Okay, so please keep this in mind. It's not the end if you decide to just to go for one protocol and not go for the other one. It's perfectly okay, and like I said, we will help you in whatever way we can so that your treatment would be a success. Okay, so I'll give the floor to Shen.
Dr. Johnson actually shared what he just shared. He shared with me late last year, early this year, where he was talking to me on a personal level, and he was just saying, as doctors, we must not force our patients to adopt what we want them to adopt. And this was something quite touching to hear from Dr. Johnson, for him to say. He basically saying that we must remember to still respect what the patient really wants, okay? Because it is their health, their body. And I would like to reinforce what Dr. Johnson said in the way I approach one new patient in Christmas. The patient doesn't want to go for chemotherapy or anything anymore. He just wants to get ready to die. Yes, it sounds so pessimistic. He just wants to manage his pain, right? And I showed his scans, his charts, his things to Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson looked at it and said, this guy still has a shot. He can still beat the cancer. But yet, in his mind, he just wants to die painlessly or die in a better condition than what he's going through now. So I really talked to the patient. I said to the patient, I know what you want, and we're going to give you what you want. But the good news is when we help you become stronger, because that's what he wants, right? He doesn't want to treat his cancer anymore. He just wants to be stronger so that he can die with more dignity, right? I said, but as we help you get stronger, which is exactly what you want, and our protocols can do that, I said to him, can you please be open to the possibility that when you get stronger, we relook at the possibility that you can start fighting cancer and not just getting ready to die. And basically he said yes. All right, so I said, okay, let's not focus on fighting cancer because that's not what you want right now. You just want to be stronger and have more dignity. Let's do that. But when we get there, I'm going to ask you again, now that you're stronger, shall we try to fight your cancer? Because we think you have a shot. All right, so I think that is what I want to say about our program today. We want to respect what you as a patient want, but I hope that you won't give up on yourself. If we see a chance, we will definitely try and encourage you to not just settle, but to go for every possible option so that you can actually successfully fight cancer. But of course, in the event that really, due to, for example, you're 85 years old, quality of life is paramount because who knows how many years God gave you in the first place, right? Then we will definitely do our best to support you. But again, this is this today we're just speaking from our heart. This is the way we look at our patients, and this is the way we approach them. And even after 2 years, Dr. Johnson and myself, we are also reminding ourselves we got to remember and respect what our viewers and our patients actually want. And of course, at the same time, always encouraging them when we see that they have a chance. All right, so with that, wishing you guys all the best. And see you next week.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Sir Sean. Thank you, Dr. Johnson, once again for answering the questions of our viewers for tonight. And of course, I just want to invite everybody this coming Thursday, once again, January 19. Our topic is entitled Effect of Dietary Fiber and Probiotics on Immunotherapy Response. It's a really good and very interesting topic. Next week, same time, 7:30 here in our Simply Nature International Facebook page, and also we are also simultaneously live streaming on our YouTube channel, Simply Nature. Okay.
Support our YouTube channel. Support our YouTube channel.
Yes, please. Also, for those of you who are very curious of our products are actually available. Please get the authentic and legit PPARS products coming from our Lazada Mall, Simply Nature Lazada Mall, and also Shopee. And of course, you can get it directly from our office here in BGC Taguig. Okay? All right. So once again, we hope to see you next week on our next, and of course, our next webinars to come. Once again, also, our hearts goes to all of you, most especially those who just got diagnosed with cancer. Please stay strong, and we are very thankful that you have watched us tonight. That means that you have chosen us to be part of your journey. Thank you so much. And because here in Simply Nature, we are always with you from start to healing. Thank you, everybody. Good night, and God bless you all.